I want a free dinner.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Town of Port Royal's public hearing and council workshop, council hearing, first one of 2024. Hope everybody weathered the storm yesterday and is 2024 starting off well for you. We have a public hearing first, call to order. And the first is for a purpose to discuss Ordinance 2023-21, an ordinance of the Town of Port Royal, South Carolina, deleting Division 2 Planning Commission from Chapter 2 Administration, Article 5 Boards, Committees, Commissions, etc., from the Code of Ordinances of the Town of Port Royal, and replacing it with a new Division 2 Planning Commission. So just so everyone's aware, the town is currently standing up its own Planning Commission, and this is what we're talking about now. Is there anyone that wishes to be heard about Ordinance 2023-21? Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing and move right into our council meeting. I'm going to start off with the Pledge of Allegiance. Councilman Guerrero.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Father, we thank you for this opportunity as we come before you. We thank you for everyone being assembled under the sound of our voices. We thank you for protecting each and every one from the storms that recently came through the areas, Lord God. And we thank you for the businesses that will be conducted on tonight, that it will be pleasing in your sight. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen. Good job, sir. Okay.
Aren't we supposed to get that weather again Friday?
Looks like it. So next we got approval of minutes, two sets of minutes from the public hearing of December 13th, 2023, and minutes from the council meeting of December 13th, 2023.
Make a motion to approve minutes from public hearing of December 13th and minutes from the council meeting December 13th, both occur in the year 2023.
Do a second? All right. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Minutes are approved. Next up, we have the election of Mayor Pro Tem. This is something that we do every 2 years. It's a very important position. It's not just a title. It's someone that, if the mayor's unable to be somewhere, fills in, runs the meetings, and it's a very important position that we have here. And again, we rotated. We had the election every 2 years. So right now, we're going to have we'll have little secret ballots, and we will conduct that. Drum roll, please.
And it's unanimous for Mary Beth Hill.
Okay. Congratulations, Mary Beth. I know you've held this position before. I look forward to another 2 years. So
That's it.
absolutely.
Thank you. Thank
Up
you.
next, we've got a presentation about the Sales Tax Committee from very own Dean Moss. And
Mr. Mayor, members of council, thank you for the opportunity. As you know, I was your appointee to the Beaufort County Penny Sales Tax Committee. About 6 people on this committee, 3 from north of the Broad and 3 from south of the Broad. I was out of town, and they elected me chairman.
I'm glad that happened.
So I want to go through this, and I want to take very long. I know that you've had an opportunity to look at the memorandum that I gave to county council. I provided it to Van and for you all to look at. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on a lot of the text, but let me start by a couple of things. First, there's a penny now in effect, which is the green penny that the voters approved a year ago and a half ago, I think, 2 years ago, and a year ago. And based upon the rate of collections that we're seeing, it was for $100 million, and we expect that that will be done well before the 2 years that is allocated in the ordinance for its, was in the referendum.
So
for
once
its
it hits
approval.
that, that's it on that one?
Yes, it's either 100 million or 2 years, whichever comes first.
Okay.
And so I expect that based upon what we know about how rates are coming in right now and how much money is being collected, it will be very surprising to me if this does not go float out sometime around September of '24, just based upon the amount of taxes that's being collected. It's important to note that, at least as far as we can tell, somewhere between 40 and 50% of the sales taxes collected in Beaufort County are paid by visitors. So when we start looking at the impact of such a tax on us, obviously everybody pays the penny, but when you look at the total amount to be collected, 40% of it's being paid by somebody else, which means we get there about twice as fast to the number we want.
And Dean, there are things exempted from the sales tax.
Yes, there are key things exempted from the sales tax. Food does not covered by the sales tax. I don't believe medical care, or there's a number of things, and I'm sorry, I should have been able to tell you what those are, but
Essentially essentials.
there are key things which affect most everybody on a base level that are not covered by the sales tax. The proposal we've got here is fairly flexible, and I'm going to go through the numbers on it. But I want to emphasize one point, that if this is going to, if this is something that council wants, that the town wants, it's going to take a certain amount of work with Beaufort County. So it's going to have to be a collaborative effort between the municipalities and the county, and particularly for us here, because we've got, I think we have more folks who might be negatively affected by this tax in northern Beaufort County that need to be, that we need to be concerned with. We've also got not quite as much specificity in what I'll call the benefits that we achieve. If you look at, and I'll get to that, you look at Hilton Head, you look at Bluffton, there's some very specific benefits that are just pointed right at them. We don't have that. We have a lot of benefit, but it's not directed quite as much at us as it is to them. Basically, we produced this, 6 members, put it to county council. The ball's basically in county council's court to decide if they're going to put a referendum together to go on the ballot a year from now. November would be when that ballot was on there. So there's a lot of thinking and talking to be done between now and probably April, when they give third reading to, if they do it, an ordinance that would set that ballot in place. And then obviously we've got a lot of work to do. If in fact the town is supportive of this, we're going to need to work hard to make sure everybody understands what it is and everybody understands what the benefits are. And to the extent there are negatives, we need to be out front and explain those to people as well. As I said, we had 6 members, 3 from the north of the Broad, 3 from south of the Broad. And we started by looking at 3 different state statutes, each of which holds a particular referendum: transportation, capital projects, education. When we did this, we were working on this. It was before the voting that took place in November, and on that voting was the referendums from the school district, and it was not clear, at least to me, whether that was going to pass or not. I hadn't dug into it, but there was a risk there that the voters might reject that referendum, and the district needs those dollars. And so the one of the alternatives that was out there in front of us was we're going to make this first penny, or this penny that we're proposing, directed at education, which would have been able to provide, and this is done in Horry County, monies which then can be split between the school district, the tech school, and University of Beaufort, University of South Carolina, Beaufort. That's what Horry County does that for its 3 educational institutions. But it passed, and so we focused. We looked at capital projects, we looked at transportation, and we selected transportation as what we wanted to work on. A lot of talk, a lot of information from the county staff, a lot of work that had been done by the county staff in terms of figuring out what projects were out there, what needed to be looked at, what they'd started, what they knew they were going to have to do in the future. A lot of stuff to take in that the committee did to come up with what we have. And basically what we did is we're bringing forward a proposal that separates the monies that would come in from such a referendum into two groups. One is what we call big projects, which are very specific projects. Rebo Road, as an example. That's a big project. And it's very specific. Planning's been done on it. There's still a lot of debate and discussion about whether what they've proposed makes sense. That needs to be gone through very carefully, but it's a project. The second group of projects are what I'll call buckets, which essentially means that what you do is you have a category of projects, and there's a certain amount of money allocated to that category of projects. So as we go forward, and let's just say it's safety. If there are safety projects that pop up, they may be small projects, they may be medium-sized projects, but those dollars are there to be allocated to safety-type activities. Of any not terribly specific about what they would be, but any project out there on the roads where safety is an issue would be eligible for funding. We call those project programs. In the big project area, there's $650 million allocated for those projects. And on the project programs, $975 million. What we're recommending is a penny to go into effect in 25 that would last 15 years. That would raise $1 billion, with a B, $650 million, round numbers, based upon a projection, a fairly conservative projection of how those dollar amounts have been increasing over time. And we also recommend the creation of a advisory committee appointed by council representing the entire county, similar to what the school district did for their work and their bond referendum and the work that they did to get ready for that referendum in the schools. The other thing to remember is that these dollars can be multiplied many times over because the state has money and the feds have money, but in order to be eligible for those dollars, we've got to have the money to match it. We can't just ask for those dollars. We've got to be able to put it on the table and say, we've got $5, we need $6 or $7 from you. And those kinds of things happen all the time. So in terms of the projects, I'm going to just touch on the ones that really don't affect us and focus on the ones that do. The first one is a triangle. It's 170, 278 and Argent Boulevard in southern Beaufort County and into Jasper County. If you have to go down there, and I hope you don't, but if you do, it's a nightmare. Yes. So something's got to be done about that. I mean, there's one crash on 278 or Argent, it backs people all the way up to the Broad River. The first main project for us is Rebo Road. There is $75 million in there for Rebo Road. The estimates that were done by the consultants were less than that, but given the time that's going to take to create a real plan, do the engineering, et cetera, do the bidding, by that time, the estimates that they have made are going to be too low, and these dollars are probably close to what we're going to need to do what we want to do. Again, it's one of those projects that's been proposed by the county. A lot of participation went into it. A lot of people didn't like a lot of the things they saw, and so what we've got to do is go back, massage all that stuff. I'm talking what the county has to do with your help. This is again back to the point. You guys have to be involved in this process very tightly. So that's $75 million that would be allocated to that project. Highway 46 improvements in Bluffton, basically making us 4 lanes to the Jasper County line, going out of Bluffton, heading to Savannah. Second, Highway 46 Ladies Island corridor improvements. In the 2018 referendum, there I think was $40 million approved for, quote, Ladies Island improvements. And there were all these plans that were come up about side roads that were going to loop through here and loop through there. And, of course, some of them went right through a park. And, I mean, the whole thing exploded in everybody's face. One project got done, which is the turn lane coming down Sam's Point that turns you on to 21 going into Beaufort. But essentially, the engineering has been proceeding based upon the dollars that are available, and so we're in a point, the county's at a point where those projects are about ready to see the light of day. And this would add about $40 million to that existing $40 million package, of which is probably about 30 left. So there's probably $70 million all in total that would be available to do that project. Bluffton gets 60 million. Hilton Head gets 60 million. These are for projects that they have identified and are online. And north of the Broad, transportation improvements, 60 million. That's going to involve you and the city of Beaufort working cooperatively, but also working with county council members from northern Beaufort County in terms of the types of projects that need to be done. It's a general package. So let's just say that there are improvements that need to be made in Northern Ladies Island, or improvements that need to be made out toward Dale Labico. Those projects have to be considered and worked in. There's certainly going to be things that you guys want to do. I'm thinking, for example, of the Spine Road as an example of a project that would fall directly into that category.
We could use this for that.
Absolutely. You and Beaufort need to get together and work and figure out the types of projects you need, but you got to do it with the county.
Can I,
Go ahead, Mr. Mick,
I was
excuse
going to
me.
ask a question. I saw how, and I, appreciate this. I saw how Bluffton was split out, Hilton Head was split out. Why is the north of the Broad combined?
Just simply because practically, when you look at the amount of money that's needed down there versus the amount of money that's generally needed up here, well, there's another piece to this that I'm going to get to in just a second. When we started this thing was set out with 40, 40, and 20. So the effort of the committee was essentially to say, no, I'm not going to do that.
But I guess I was just asking whether there's just anything,
I mean,
you said you're going to get to it.
We could have done that.
Yeah.
It would just be, all right, here's 20 for you and 15 for you and 15 for Beaufort, and the rest of it gets spent in the rural areas. But I think since it encompasses the entire northern Beaufort County,
So that's why we had the seat at the table.
yes,
And communicate.
yes, it's all got to be done cooperatively between you guys, the city, and the county.
It's a lump sum,
Yep.
and then just,
It's not
Prioritizing
it's
what's
not
more
specified for any project. It's specified for the things that you guys decide are important and need to be done. There are $60 million for 278 enhancements. That's also adding to the bridge that Hilton Head keeps saying they want to build, that people want to build at Hilton Head. I don't know if we're ever going to see that, but that's there. 278 right now at 3 lanes going in either direction is a traffic jam every day. And then you get future projects. So we've got 175 million set aside for future projects that have not been designed and not been specified. One of the projects that is there, contemplated or could be contemplated, it's not being recommended, but it's the third bridge. And when I met with Beaufort yesterday, City of Beaufort folks, that came up twice. We're thinking that ought to be front and center. We want the third bridge front and center in this proposal. I don't think that's certainly not the perspective of the council as a whole. But there were a number of people that were poking at that and saying, we really need that third bridge, we need to get it.
but that could potentially come out of the future project, 175.
Yes.
That wouldn't come out of
That wouldn't come out of
item
the 60.
7, yeah.
No,
out of the
that's money that out there in the future, but specifically, that third bridge sits out there just, with a big flashlight on it.
I want to just ask one question.
Yes, ma'am.
Back in the day, when Senator Waddell had that money allocated for that third bridge, back in our
I
time,
remember.
we never got that bridge, and that money disappeared.
Yes, it did.
And I guess there's a lot of people in Beaufort and Port Royal, and they travel, and that bridge is so well needed. Why would we've already got 3 lanes and we've got the bridges, why would we allocate more money for Hilton Head to get another bridge before we got that bridge to take some of this traffic off of Port Royal and Beaufort? I mean, that's important.
I know it's important. It's important, and to me, the argument that I use is, if the swing bridge breaks at the wrong time,
Absolutely.
we got a problem. We got
So
more
we
than a
should be-
problem.
They don't have swing bridges.
I've said it up here 100 times, the most important intersection in northern Beaufort County
It's
is
ours.
right up here in Port Royal.
Yep,
It's the most important intersection in northern Beaufort County.
right.
And with the frequency of that swing bridge breaking
Harbor
down,
Island got one.
Oh, yeah,
Even Harbor Island got a bridge.
yeah. I just feel like that
It's-
more money
it's-
should
it's
be
such a-
allocated
It's such a,
instead of Hilton Head giving it to us.
we went through it 15 years ago, again. I mean, there was a whole analysis done. We're gonna put it by the air station, we're gonna put it, at the end of Boundary Street, or where's it gonna go? And that's never been decided. So there's still, one item was put it way the heck and gone out at the end of Ladies Island. So when you go all the way out, you pop across way out on the other side of the air station. So those alternatives are all floating around out there. And eventually, we're going to have to deal with it. There's no question about it. Ladies Island is going to continue to grow and grow and grow and grow.
So wouldn't we think more funding needed to be there than Hilton Head Bridge? And all fact, and I know you're on the board and it's hard, but
There's three
from
and three,
the
yes,
people's
$1 million
perspective
fighting
over
tooth and
here, why does Hilton Head always get the larger amount to help them when they get everything? The state's helped them with their bridge and their
I can say,
spaghetti strips and everything else over there.
the only thing I can say is that of this money, probably 65% of it's coming off Hilton Head.
There's your reality.
Well, I mean,
That's all I
that's
can say.
fine, but
I
we
know.
help fund stuff
I know.
over there, and
But
our
we-
little pittance, their big pittance ought to
but
be
we-
coming over here to help
But we got
us.
it in here. And so my attitude is, again, it's the kind of thing that the town council, the city council, the county council members from north of the Broad have got to get together and say, this is critical and we're going to do it, and we're going to follow this, et cetera, et cetera. I mean,
Right, I'm
it's
not
not
trying to
something I
attack
can
you,
do,
I just
but it,
want you to understand our feelings.
the money's going to be there. If this referendum passes, there'll be dollars there available to start that process and get it well on down the road. Whether there's money there to build it or not, that's another question. But if you've got the money, you've got federal money and state money, which can be brought into the process as well.
but basically, out of the 40% of this sales tax is collected by visitors, the majority of the visitors are going to Hilton Head.
Yeah,
That's the reality.
Reality out there.
Right.
still.
So, those are the big projects. You get to the project programs. Again, these are categories. I call them buckets, where you essentially have a bucket with a bunch of money in it for a particular type of project. And if there's an issue that comes up, if the town of Port Royal decides that it needs to do X, Y, or Z, it's not something that it doesn't need to have a particular large amount of money associated with it, but if there's a project that you guys need to do, these dollars will be there for those types of projects. And again, emphasizing, we both know the county's going to have the bank account. I mean, it's as simple as that.
Sure.
And so the process is, how do we put ourselves in a position with the county so that if we need that money, it's not a big deal for us to get it.
Right.
I mean, that's the strategy that we're going to all have to figure out how to follow. So mass transit, one of those things that's incredibly important. We do not have a significant master plan for mass transit in this county. We have a mass transit operation which works and has been working for years and years and years and years, but it's pretty focused. It's really focused. It's focused on workers, and it's focused on getting folks from pretty much from here and surrounding counties into southern Beaufort County.
Yes.
But people have talked now about marinas. I mean, about ferries. We could have a ferry service here, and in all probability, a ferry service with the right high-tech ferries could put somebody from Port Royal onto Hilton Head in about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So I mean, those are the kinds of things that people talk about. This is also the city brought up last night the trolley system, the idea that would run from Beaufort to Ladies Island to Port Royal and back to Beaufort. So there'd be a circle trolley running all the time,
Just constantly.
which would move people from one downtown to the other through Ladies Island, etc. Those are the kinds of things that can be dealt with on that. Traffic, safety, traffic flow, other kinds of things. We're hopeful that the Rebo Road project would deal with a lot of that. But let's just say there's a problem in town. Again, these dollars can go to state roads, local roads, county roads, city roads. There's no restriction on where these dollars are spent. They have to be public roads, but it's not just for highways. It's not just for county roads. It's for everybody. Emergency evacuation and resiliency. You all know where Warsaw Island is. My bet is that during the last big storm, not the one we just went through yesterday, but a couple of weeks ago, we had a heck of a storm blow through here right at high tide. And the road to Warsaw Island had salt water on it. Most of from medium high to medium low, covered with salt water. So if you're driving out there and you need to move back and forth, you're spraying salt water up under your car every time you go up and down that road. We can't live like that, and it's going to get worse. And so there are roads like that all over the county that have got to be dealt with. Not huge projects, but projects that have to be addressed. Pavement resurfacing and preservation, all streets, municipal streets, county dirt roads. One of the issues that we've got in Beaufort County is we have an enormous number of county-owned dirt roads. And the county has had a process of paving those dirt roads in place for years, and they get about 3 done a year. So, because there's have not been enough money to do them. So these were dollars that could be allocated to those purposes as well. Pathways, trails, $180 million for trails. The recommendation that we've made is that, if you remember, in 18, when the referendum was passed in 18, there were a whole list of trail projects and an allocation of about $10 million to them. That $10 million got us nowhere. I mean, it wasn't even remotely close. And so we recommend that when priorities are set, and of course the county passed and adopted the trail master plan for the county. That's an important document. But we recommend that the initial efforts all go into the projects which were approved by the voters in 2018 for trails. That would be the first priority when you get working on this. Green belts, more money going essentially to the Green Penny would be allocated to the same group that is now running the Green Penny. These would be dollars which would be added to their account for spending. So that takes us fills us up the full dollars, about 1.6 billion. We recommend, as I said, a committee, 7 people, that meets and essentially takes and puts priorities, goes through and works with the counties and the city, the towns, on priorities for these buckets of money. We recommend that you take and bond this. If this referendum passes, you go to the bond market and get yourself a bond to take care of the first huge chunk of dollars. The idea again is to use those green pennies, basically green space pennies, to wherever you can kind of reduce demand, reduce traffic in situations where you can do that. And again, we feel a very high priority is developing a master plan for mass transit in Beaufort County. So we know what we're doing, we know what steps we've got to take, whether it's buses to Hilton Head or ferries or whatever the heck it is. So that's my presentation, Mr. Mayor, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being on that committee. I'm glad you were absent that day and they put you as chairman. So you do a lot for the town of Port Royal. We appreciate it. Any council members, any questions for?
No, I asked mine during the presentation. Thank you for.
I got one. So we're looking to have this added to the 24 ballot?
It would be a referendum question on the 24 ballot.
25, right?
20.
It would be
Be on the
in November.
24?
November
Okay.
24.
So I thought you said earlier 25.
The big election.
Well, we do appreciate what you've done and how you're doing, but, we just have concerns and, Dean, we're gonna be right there pushing because
That's what you
first
gotta
that
do, Mary Beth.
reimagined Buford, I think the people have surely spoke about how they don't want that two-lane road and, it's gonna be a hard sell on that particular piece.
Right.
If we
I
could use
think
that
you,
money somewhere else.
I think you've won that one. I kind
You
of do.
think we
I
won
think
that
you've won
battle?
that one. I don't,
Well, we
I think
hope
the
so.
notion of 2 lanes through those sections on Rebo.
That's absurd.
They should have lived here when,
That's absurd.
when we had a two-lane.
But I would hate to jeopardize that project and lose the Ladies Island Drive improvements because we
Yeah, I
are
would too.
concerned about a piece of the project that's not even in the Port Royal.
True.
Oh, just a couple questions, Dean. Just kind of how the funding's gonna work. If you look at these projects as, like, each one's a bucket, and as money's coming in, is it, if like $10 come in, is it each bucket gets $1, or we're doing one project till it's done and then move on to the next one, or like how does?
Mr. Mayor, I have no idea.
Okay.
If you go to
I
bond
will
market, you have
suggest
the
to you.
ability to do them in an accelerated
Yeah.
schedule.
I will suggest to you that they will bond it. And in that bond, let's say they do a bond for $1 billion. The documentation will be there and they can pay it back. And they'll allocate it
Go.
into those buckets so that the monies are available to be
And that's
utilized.
a better option than a pay-as-you-go.
Oh, yeah. And then, also too, with how this'll work, the $60 million that Port Royal and Beaufort are gonna split, is that they're gonna just say, here's y'all $60 million, Beaufort and Port Royal figured out, or do we submit a project to county and they gotta approve it before they give us that?
Oh, I
How
think-
much- I guess how much leeway are we getting with that,
I think basically, first off, I think that's a question that you need to negotiate
Okay.
with the county. That I can't speculate on
Okay.
that. But I think that's why, again, one of the reasons why it is so critical that Beaufort and Port Royal get tight as you can get on this, and that you bring the county council members from north of the Broad, the 4 county council members north of the Broad, and put your arms around them and say, we want it done this way. We want to make it work this way. And so they'll say, okay, we'll have an expedited process, or we'll have this, or we'll have that. I think the county will decide what that process is. And I can't tell you that.
And then, just to kind of reiterate what Mayor Pro Tem, Mary Beth said, that, with the reimagined Rebo, I just asked that they do kind of work with us. I know they had the public hearings, and then we had a presentation, and I don't know if it's, maybe we kind of just reiterated them, we need to maybe have one more meeting with them, one more input. I don't know if they finalized their at or where they're at, but we can look at it. They just need to, I would like us to just be able to give some more input before they come back with that.
Oh, I think
final
you
project.
need to be, frankly, you and the Mayor of Beaufort need to be sitting in front with a cup of coffee of the chairman of county council and saying, we insist that we're going to do it this way. You guys are going to follow, you're going to do it the way we say we're going to do it. It's our road.
Yeah, we like Port Royal's part, but
Yeah, I mean, again, I think it's a question of the town asserting itself hard.
Perfect.
okay.
And that's how things are gonna get better, and that's how we're gonna control what happens to us.
Well, we can do that, and, is this just for this process, or is?
No, I'm done.
Okay, so once
I'm
this,
done.
it's done,
Well,
okay.
thanks
I've
for
gotta
all
make
that hard work.
I've gotta make a few more
So
presentations.
you got some free time on your hands
That
now,
I've
is that
been
what I'm
sucked
hearing?
into.
Well,
Can we
Will
find
we
another
appoint somebody
committee?
through the subsequent committee?
Pardon?
Will we be appointing somebody to the subsequent committee?
I don't know. All we're saying is it needs to be a committee, so.
Okay, so
My
there-
bet is it's one of those things, again, the county council would appoint, but again, you gotta be in their face, and you gotta say, we want this, we want that.
So-
Send Odine back
And
right there.
Thank you so much. Really quick, I just want to say how much you do for the town. The other night, I was reading that Port Royal history book that was written by Wendy Pulitzer. And there
Right.
was a picture in there of, I think it's from '99, where it was Joe Wilson came through on a bus tour, and you're in the picture, Van's in the picture, Joe Lee's in it. I mean, a little bit younger, but it just shows how long you've been involved.
For
in
a long
helping out.
time.
So, yeah.
Anyway,
So, thank you very much. For
thank you,
being here.
members of council, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I have a
Right.
question.
Dean?
And I saw your eyes kind of light up when you talked about trails and pathways and all. Did you have a hand in some of that for Beaufort County? Didn't you help write some of that or no?
Yeah, the bike path.
Yeah, I was staff support to
to the Bike and Ped Committee that put the plan together.
Right,
And we didn't have any money, so I put the plan together myself.
Right, that's what I was thinking, so maybe that's why your eyes lit up when it, hey, maybe
Yeah,
there's some
finally,
money.
yeah, it's
Finally.
nice to
Might
see
be
it
some
pop
money
back up.
finally
so.
to go.
Yeah, so that should be a nice feeling for you.
I'll just encourage everybody in the town, just to keep an eye on that. That's going to be a topic, it's going in front of county council. They're voting on it, and then just keep your eyes open and educate yourself. It will be on the ballot, as you heard Dean say, in November. So up next, we've got council briefing. Went over that last week. Any
Yeah,
updates,
just,
corrections, any questions?
Just a few things. Under the project list, under 12th Street, regarding sidewalks and parking, we have a meeting on Friday with one side of 12th Street and the impacted owners over there. And then we're preparing an easement for the school district for the other side of 12th Street. I just wanted to mention real quickly that we did receive a response from Safe Harbor to our letter. We received that today. Staff is evaluating it along with our town attorneys. It did include some additional information beyond just the letter itself, but also a draft of the temporary easement for construction of the Spanish Moss Trail. And we picked Dean's brain on that one again today, and I think we're moving in the right direction, so fairly pleased. And we also have some additional documents relative to the ordinance we're considering later, which is the property swap between the town and Safe Harbor for what we commonly refer to as the beer garden, Lot G, some odds and ends, as well as the 4 lots that the town owns adjacent to 8th Street. So, and I think those are the only updates I had from last week, unless you have any questions.
Any questions? So I will say, as you heard Vance say, we did receive the letter. I thought that was a very welcomed and positive thing. They didn't tell us just to go pound sand. They are paying attention. My homework tonight's to get through it. It's dozens and dozens of pages. It's deeds and easements, and it's a lot of paper. We did get it today, so plan on going through that and working through that. But they did send us something back, which I thought was a very welcomed. So they're paying attention, and hopefully we can get some progress on this port development. So. Move now into public comment for any agenda items. I do have a few up here, but these are non-agenda, so we'll get to those in a minute. I didn't get anything for agenda items, but we will open it up if anybody does wish to speak about an agenda item. Seeing none, we'll move over to, we've got council discussion. You'll see long-term rentals. As you may have heard, we've had some issues coming up, and some citizens have. I apologize. Mr. Mobley, you wish to speak about long-term rentals?
Yes.
Okay, I apologize. Please come up.
I'm a licensed property manager.
Yes, sir.
I have houses in the city and the county and the town. I would much prefer that the 3 municipalities use the same guidelines. The city and the county require anyone with 2 or more houses to have a business license. Of course, I have a business license in all the locations. It's confusing to have the town want an owner of 1 house to have a business license. Most of these owners are absentee owners, and most of them are active duty Marines. And some of them are a little bit hard to get in touch with. It does put some burden on them of having to sign these different forms and all, even though I try to do all the paperwork for them. So it would be much preferred for the 3 locations to all have the same guidelines so that property managers would know what to do in each guideline, because even though you're saying the owner needs to have a business license, it winds up being the property manager that takes care of the paperwork and gets everything done. I guess that's most of it. I'm sure my friend Singh Pappas is concerned about the same items. Oh, the other thing I would say, if you're gonna do that, you're asking for a safety inspection, but you want the owner to fill out, in essence, a building permit in order to get an inspection. I think it would be much better to take a little time and make a form specifically for long-term rentals to request an inspection, which To my knowledge, the city and the county don't do that either. And then the last is even the application for the business license is a little hard to apply to an absentee owner of a long-term rental. And I think you could take a little time and make a form especially for that if you're gonna continue with it. I've got 6 houses in the town, and only 2 of them are owned by, an individual. The other 4 are individually owned. So it would be much preferred to do away with trying to require a business license for somebody that's got 1 rental house. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you,
Lively.
Mr. Mobley.
Appreciate it.
So, and in that vein, we're talking about long-term rentals. We had a long discussion about it last week at our workshop. We realized there's a lot of things to look at, so we're going to put that on our retreat that we're having in February. We'll be discussing the dates of that coming up too, because there is some confusion out there, and the last thing we want is that. We want to create some clarification, and we definitely don't want to, just make erroneous work for, 1, staff, and 2, the landlords and people that rent in the town. So we'll be discussing that at our council retreat coming up in February and hash that out for everybody, okay? All right. Next, first readings. Van just mentioned on that, we're ordinance 2024-1. It is in regard to a certain property swap between Safe Harbor Properties and Port Royal Properties. But the recommendation from staff, considering that we just got a bunch of information this afternoon from them, did we want to move forward with this now or push this till next?
Yeah.
What do you think's the best of that?
The way that it's drafted now by Lawrence versus what we might see in an amended document may be so significantly different from first
That this wouldn't stand up?
that would not. So we may need to restart that process. So it was Lawrence's suggestion, as well as staff's, when we considered it, that we potentially table or withdraw it until we have final language in place for the swap. There's still some cross easement issues we need to address on Lot G that they want to clean up, which I completely understand. So that's my recommendation.
So at this time, I just request a motion to
Withdraw or
withdraw
table.
withdraw ordinance 2024-1.
I move that we withdraw first reading of Amendment 2024-1 to allow staff an opportunity to revisit that.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye. All right, we'll push that in. Just so everyone knows, we're looking forward to working on that. Again, we just got a lot of paperwork today that we need to go through that deals with this easement and deeds and all that. So we're going to hash that out and get right back to this, because we're making progress and we want to keep that up. So next, second readings, ordinance 2023-21. An ordinance of the Town of Port Royal, South Carolina, repealing Division 2 Planning Commission from Chapter 2 Administration, Article 6 Boards, Committees, Commissions, etc. from the Code of Ordinances of the Town of Port Royal and replacing it with a new Division 2 Planning Commission within Chapter 2 Administration, Article 6 Boards, Committees, Commissions, etc.
Make a motion to approve second reading of ordinance 2023-21.
Second.
Any discussion? How many applicants do we have at this time?
We're still 5.
We got 5, okay.
Yeah.
So I'm sure we'll start doing those interviews soon. So if you're an applicant, start getting ready for your interview process, because we will talk to every single one of you. So, all those in favor? Please. Aye?
Aye.
All right, it passes unanimous. Next, we have a resolution, Resolution 1-2024, resolution encouraging Governor Henry McMaster to declare an economic disaster due to the dumping of imported shrimp into the United States market.
I make a motion to approve resolution 2024-1.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? No discussion, just kind of inform everybody. It's something that we've seen, I think, some other
It
municipalities.
started with Mount Pleasant.
Yep. And so, as you know, the town is committed to, honoring that heritage and history that we have of commercial fishing and shrimping in Port Royal. We're building back the shrimp docks. And, we want that to be successful. I have no doubt that we'll have shrimp boats back, but there is a lot going on in that industry, and we just kind of want to make everyone in Columbia aware of what's going on down here in the Low Country. So, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Passes.
Dan, was there anything you could add on that?
Not at this point. I
What
mean,
did you
other
say,
than
Mount Pleasant? They've done it in
Mount
other areas?
Pleasant, Beaufort, Bluffton, and then obviously we crafted the resolution to kind of reflect our own fiscal impact, if you will, since we've been operating the dock since '06, the dollars that the town has spent,
Right.
as well what we're intending to spend to kind of resurrect the industry if it's possible.
It's ironic, I got a call today from a county council member also, talking about this exact topic here, about how all the restaurants are using imported shrimp here.
So, that's
Yeah,
why
and what
it's
the real concern is that from what I hear from the shrimpers is that the freezers are full. So even though they're bringing in product, obviously supply and demand. And so there's really, what shrimpers are being paid for product right now is ridiculously low. And the flooding of the market, really, it's not competitive. They're putting product into our markets well below what it may potentially cost, basically, to run some of our shrimpers out of business. Then they become the exclusive providers of seafood in our markets, so.
And it's interesting because the recent Beaufort Shrimp Festival, that was one of the criterias. They had to use
There you go.
local shrimp.
good to see stuff like that. So that's why it's important. If you've got time, go to your local shrimp market and buy it right off the boat. It's something not everybody gets to do, so take advantage of it.
Let's keep that heritage going here.
Next up, council action, we've got discussion on council retreat dates. I think we've talked about we're gonna bring it to one day. We're looking at February. I'll just throw a date out there. We were looking at a Friday. The council, we will be out of town the 6th and 7th up in Columbia. We're going to Columbia for the Municipal Association of South Carolina's
And then council
Legislative
meetings
Action Day. There's a chamber event on the 16th, the Chamber Economic Forecast event on the 16th. So I was we'll throw out there February 23rd. I don't know how that works for everybody.
I'm
okay.
good.
I'm okay.
So,
Is the
I'm
23rd
okay.
work for you?
You want to do it a Friday or a Saturday?
I think we do Friday.
Friday?
Yeah, everybody's
So,
here. We won't drag them in on a Saturday.
Well, Jerry got to work.
that's fine.
I work. I
Somebody's
work
gotta
too.
work.
I'm not
I'm
retared.
sorry.
I'm
Sorry.
not retired.
Somebody's gotta pay the light bill.
Please excuse me, all of y'all work, I apologize,
got you.
okay?
Annual leave.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is it 23 looking all right with everyone?
Yep.
Okay,
You
staff.
gonna send a calendar invite?
Daryl,
So I
I'm
don't have
so
to have it on a
sorry.
triple.
What kind of format, are we
I'm George.
like a traditional, we'll have a facilitator and talk about.
SK Designs.
Our goals, or?
How's the 23rd look? Okay. If everybody's in, then I guess we'll lock that in, February 23rd.
Are we gonna hear from committee heads?
We will. I think what we really should do at these retreats is focus on the larger issues. I think what we've done in years past is got bogged down in some details per departments that really would more appropriately discussed at a budget workshop.
And this is a goal-setting
Right.
purpose, right?
Yeah.
So there's no need right now,
Yeah.
okay. So we're setting goals.
Yeah, I think something we could do, I think we could, let's bring this in, the must-dos, could-dos, should-dos, look,
Until it's time for y'all to make the list, and we're gonna turn those around so y'all can't look at them.
No, but it'd be nice to look at those and just go through the, progress that was made on those and kind of, and
Well, we
build
kind of
from
got to
there,
look
so.
what we
Trying to
did
save the
last
town
time,
some
to
money.
know what we have to improve on this time.
Snap a picture, save
We
us
should
time.
know, but
Okay. So in this town, if you circle something to council, we can start putting some topics in there and issues that we want to bring up and address, so, yeah.
I agree.
Okay, and I encourage anyone to come there, if you want to come spend, all day Friday with us at the police station?
Well, I'm not sure yet.
Okay, we'll let you know the location, so. Okay,
Favorite quiet restaurant.
right. Next, we've got, there you go. Next, we've got important dates. Monday, January 15th is Martin Luther King Day. Tuesday, January 16th, we got a redevelopment commission meeting here at town at 4:30. Saturday, January 27th, we've got our ribbon cutting at 10 a.m. at the Bruce Edgerly Field, the ADA Park, that really large, beautiful park that we've got over there. Everybody's excited and been asking about it, so that will have a ribbon cutting. It was a great idea from Councilman Ashmore to have that on a Saturday, so kids can be there, not 2 o'clock on a Tuesday. So hopefully it can be packed with families and kids at the ribbon cutting. February 1st, 2024, Design Review Board meeting at 5:30. And then again, council will be up in Columbia, advocating for the town at Legislative Action Day, February 6th and 7th up in Columbia. Does Any other dates anyone would like to add?
How are we doing council next month? What dates? What are we doing?
Can we move it back,
Thursday.
Thursday the 8th?
Yes.
And then Wednesday the 14th? Is that right? Okay. Thank you.
Any other dates?
Since we'll be in Columbia, so
I'll let everybody know, Restaurant Week
So we'd have to
starts,
rush back.
I believe tomorrow, runs for 10 days. It's a great way to go out and experience different restaurants. They usually have their, their set menus. You get a kind of a discounted price, and so it's a great way to go to restaurants you've never tried before, and they really kind of give you the best that they've got. So, just kind of go out and, visit our local restaurants that we love here in Port Royal. Again, Restaurant Week starts tomorrow, runs till, I think, the 21st. At this time, we'll open it up to public comment. First one is Miss Mayor Deckard. Please come up. All right. How are you tonight?
Hello.
Hey.
Congratulations, Mr. Mayor, and also Mr. Guerrero, and hello to everybody. Happy New Year. So I am here tonight not to ask council to make a decision on what I'm talking about, but to help to facilitate the process of which I'm speaking. In the back of our development, we have an alleyway road, which is a dedicated road in town. And the federal government uses it to deliver mail, and it connects 10th Street and 11th Street. And I just brought this for you just so you can see what I'm talking about, if I may.
Yep, please.
This is a copy of the plat where an addition was put on.
Thank you.
And pictures of posts and fences being
Thank you, Mayor.
constructed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You'll see the highlighted area is where there is an easement that the town had maintained since it was platted in 1994. So we have been using the easement, the whole neighborhood, for our common alleyway road for over 20 years. And then this addition was put in, and then for reasons that myself and my fellow neighbors are trying to figure out, these posts, and subsequently more posts were placed there, which have provided obstruction for all of us. We can't get our business boat out. Other people are having trouble getting in and out. We can't get emergency vehicles in and out and so forth. So we have been trying to get the town to provide documents so that we can appeal the most recent decision that a fence permit is needed to add these posts. But we've been unable to get anything in writing to date since this whole process has been going on. And specifically told she needs a fence permit to add more, we will be taking care of it. So I would like to appeal this fence determination for a variety of reasons. And I've been told I need to file FOIA requests for documents, even just the policy and procedure, to file an appeal. And I feel that those kinds of documents should be made available either on the website or when I've gone into the town hall to get this information, it should just be given to me. Because to file a FOIA request, as some of you may know, it's not, almost a 60-day process to get documents. First, you have 10 days, and it includes only business days. So the 10 days is actually like 15 days. And then another 30 days, so it's at least 45 days. And I've not known really any local government that gives you documents really far ahead of that. You usually take it out to the very last day. So if you only have 30 days to appeal, and it takes you 45 days to get documents, obviously that's inconsistent. So I'm just asking council to help facilitate getting these documents in this process. And toward that end, I did create a notice of appeal, which I'm giving to the town right now. Here are your copies, ma'am. No, there's one for you too. And also one for council.
Okay.
So
All right.
hopefully you can help facilitate the process so we can get the documents so we can appeal this decision, which we feel is wrong. And we'd like to have a fair opportunity to make our argument. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Okay. And next, public comment, we've got Mr. Mike Jones.
Mine's more of a question than a complaint. A long time ago, they had the overlay district. And they had charrettes on it and everything. They made all these ordinances. And back then, when you built a house, you had to build it to the road, so many feet back, and you had in the back parking. That's how it was. It was rode up that way, and everybody was doing it. But what's happening now is everybody's getting permits to put decks back there where the parking used to be. And this is on 12th Street, 11th Street, 10th Street, and 9th Street. And they're putting decks back there. They're putting apartments back there. They're putting all kinds of stuff. And everybody's parking on the street now. And 11th Street is already crowded. And it's getting a lot of there. And 12th Street is overcrowded. Everybody there's building decks too. And there's even a smaller area. So everybody's parking on the streets all the way down now because they're using that. They're getting a permit somehow to do that. I didn't think you could do that. You have to park in the rear. You have to park in the rear. And this has changed. That's why my question is, has it been changed? And they can do that. If not, how are they getting permits to build these structures back there? So that's my...
Okay. We'll get you some clarification on that. Thank you, Mike. Okay, no more public comments. Anyone in forums? Anyone else? Public comments? Anyone? Well, really quick, I see we have some representatives here. I see in the back, we've got Ms. Morris from the Chamber of Commerce. Any updates from the Chamber you'd like to share?
No, I appreciate you all mentioning our economic forecast event on the 16th. We hope to see you all there. Anyone who would like to attend, we welcome you. Was working today on latest data that I think you all will find useful in conversations like you're having with Dean today about traffic, infrastructure needs. We are definitely still growing, I'm happy to report, and we'll be diving into that deeper then.
All right.
Look forward to working with you all.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Morris.
And also, too, we've got Greg Shelton. He's the council representative, actually, on the Naval Heritage Task Force and the Economic Development Corp. Any updates from any of those organizations you'd like to share?
Jesse from the Conservation.
Mr. Mayor, Council, appreciate a couple of minutes. The Economic Development Corporation has about 5 major projects that are underway. One of them is about 1,000 acres that we're looking at up in Jasper, Yemassee, as a possible commerce area that's being reviewed. Also, part of what we're talking about right now, and as everybody's going into the strategy sessions, is how economic development can embed our executive director into the projects that Safe Harbor is looking at, so that we're there as it begins rather than at the end, and everybody's kind of surprised at what happens. On the Naval Hospital, dealing with the Department of Defense and the Department of the Navy, we finally have a contact point at the Department of Defense at the Pentagon that we are, Megan, preparing a draft letter to. So that this is probably the most positive thing that we've determined in about a year, that we actually have a person now that we can address the proposal to, or at least kind of feel out where that's going to go. The other thing that we've been talking about in terms of that property is, rather than laying out a schematic and some type of rendition of where the buildings and the pieces would go on the board, is to stack it. What I mean by stacking it is say, here are the things that we think would work well on that property. And at some point, assuming that there is an affirmative decision by the DOD and Department of the Navy, would then let them kind of figure out, from a development perspective, of where those items would go. And I think that makes a lot more sense. The last thing that I think is really needed with that initiative is a plan A and a plan B. Rather than going in and saying, here's everything that we want, it's in one box, is to go in and say, here are a couple of things that we'd like you to think about. Which one do you think would work best for you? So the last thing, going back to economic development, is that a couple of months ago, I was asked to become the treasurer of economic development, as well as the appointee for Port Royal. So that's where we are right now, and we still have to finish that discussion, Mr. Mayor, in terms of what happens next, so.
Thank you, and I'll just ask one thing, when, and I know you do it, but if anytime any of those leads come in, any of those potential businesses that are coming here, try to,
I raise my hand.
and bring them, and don't, because Port Royal, you know, if you can, get them here in front of council, let's show them around Port Royal. Port Royal, they're not gonna get the, and really feel the Port Royal just from a piece of paper that says, well, this many people live here, and this is that. They need to see it, they need to, you gotta come see Port Royal,
John
experience it.
O'Toole will tell you with any doubt in his mind that whenever a project comes up and it's discussed at either executive session or a board meeting, and I think it's appropriate to address Port Royal as one of the areas of consideration. And the guy in the room that raises my hand, and the questions are the same thing, what about Port Royal? Why aren't we bringing him here?
That's why
So
I'm
I
glad you're
think
there.
he now realizes that he includes Port Royal in those discussions rather than an afterthought.
Absolutely. Let's try, let's get them here and ride them around on a
Right.
golf cart and show them around and then like, let them really, you know, take it all in, so.
Will do.
I knew you can do that, so thank you so much, Greg.
Okay, thank you much.
Thank you, Greg.
Also, we got a Representative Jesse White from, anything from the Coastal Conservation League? Big news? All right, Happy New Year. All right, next we've got council comments. I'll start to my left, Councilman Ashmore.
I'm good. You getting some good sleep there, Mayor?
A little hour, 2 hours here, 3 hours there, but it adds up. No, we're very blessed.
How's Mama doing? She doing
She's
well?
doing great. Baby's doing well.
Baby's good and everything?
Eating, sleeping, so she's
Good.
doing good. Everybody,
Good for you.
thank you all again so much for all the love and support. It means the world, so. Anything, Councilman?
Just Happy New Year, and we appreciate your presence, you know, whether you have anything to say or not, but this speaks volumes, so we appreciate having you here.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem Eckert.
Just want to thank everybody for coming, wish them all a happy holidays for the 24 year, and let's make this a great year, and let's get some of this stuff for Port Royal where things need to be happening, and some funding from the
Great things
state
happening.
and the federal and local levels.
Good man.
Yeah, just, again, I want to thank everybody for being involved, and looking forward to a healthy 24 for all of us, and see how we can move the needle. We got to do it together, though. We got to be involved, we got to care.
Absolutely. And just to reiterate that, thank you again to everybody. As you see tonight, the town is much more than just the 5 people that sit up here. It's staff, it's the volunteers that sit on boards, that sit on commissions, it's the people that are applying for our planning commission. That's how all of this works. So thank you to everybody for being here and everyone that gives their time to Port Royal and for us all to work together. So with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Sorry.
That's it. Thank y'all very much. Everybody have a good
Thank you,
night.
guys. Good night, everybody.